If you were someone who has consumed porn for quite a while, let's say 5, 10, 20 years, then your brain has been altered in many ways. The two key regions of your brain that are clearly impacted negatively by porn consumption are your dopamine system, which is also known as your brain's reward system, and your prefrontal cortex. Research has shown that regular porn consumption is associated with changes in brain's reward system, particularly in the dopamine pathways. This leads to reduced responsiveness to sexual or other rewards, which is known as desensitization. This desensitization may drive a porn addict to seek more stimulating and novel content over time, which is why you often see with porn addicts, the type of porn that they used to watch at the beginning is very different from the type of porn that they watch now. Studies have also found that individuals who watch porn frequently show altered functionality and connectivity in the prefrontal cortex, which is the region of your brain which is responsible for impulse control and decision making. These changes are similar to found in those people who are actually addicted to drugs like cocaine. Changes in this region of the brain contribute to poor judgment, reduced impulse control, and increased cravings. In short, one way to put it is that porn turns your brain into a child's brain. But the good news is you can actually undo the damage done to those regions of the brain and restore them back to the default state. And in this video, I am going to show you how exactly you can achieve that. So let's get right into it. The first thing you need to know is that your brain has the ability to rewire itself. This is known as neuroplasticity. But what exactly do I mean by rewiring? Well, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and adapt its structure and function throughout life in response to learning, experiencing things, or even injury. This capacity allows the brain to form new neural connections, reorganize existing neural connections, and even move certain brain functions to different regions of the brain. All of these properties are crucial for learning, forming and retaining memory, and recovering from brain damage. It's pretty clear that neuroplasticity is absolutely essential for life. However, you can also rewire your brain in such a way that it has a negative outcome on your life. In fact, your addiction to pornography is a consequence of neuroplasticity. Here's what the author of the book, The Brain That Changes Itself, and the psychiatrist Norman Deutsch explains about porn. Pornography satisfies every one of the prerequisites for neuroplastic change. When pornographers boast that they are pushing the envelope by introducing new, harder themes, what they don't say is that they must, because their customers are building up tolerance to the content. The first requirement to successfully heal your brain and restore it back to its normal condition is pretty obvious. Stop further exposure to any more porn. If you're constantly relapsing every other week, then you are rewiring your brain in a negative way. However, quitting porn is easier said than done. If you're actually struggling to quit it, it could very likely be because you're solely relying on raw willpower alone, and that has shown to be an ineffective approach. You in fact need a holistic system to overcome this porn addiction. In the next few segments of this video, I am going to discuss one tool that is not only going to help you quit porn, but it is also going to help you rewire your brain at a significantly faster rate. Intermittent fasting refers to the practice of not eating food for a given period of time. Now you might wonder, what does not eating food have to do with quitting porn addiction or rewiring your brain? Turns out that when you go for a duration of time without food, then your body begins to perform several housekeeping tasks. Some of these tasks can help boost neuroplasticity by triggering a range of cellular and molecular adaptations in your brain. Let's have a deeper look at them. Fasting significantly elevates brain-derived neurotrophic factor, also known as BDNF, which is a protein that is critical for the growth and survival of neurons. And neurons, or nerve cells, are the fundamental units of brain and nervous system. They're responsible for transmitting information through electrical and chemical signals. They process sensory input, transmit motor controls, and are the foundation of all your thoughts, memories, emotions, and even movements. Secondly, BDNF, this protein, it helps with synaptic plasticity. Synaptic plasticity is the brain's ability to strengthen or weaken the connections between neurons, called synapses, based on their activity. This process is fundamental to learning and memory, as it allows the brain to form and modify new neural circuits over time. Think of it as the brain tuning the strength of communication between its cells, making some connections louder and some connections weaker. The second way in which fasting helps you rewire your brain is via autophagy. Fasting promotes autophagy, which is the self-cleaning process of cells, especially neurons. This helps remove damaged components and supports healthy synaptic restructuring, which is essential for learning. The reason why fasting really helps promote such a cleanup of cells is because during a fast, you are depriving cells of nutrients, forcing them to activate a cellular cleanup and recycling process for survival. During a fast, your body's blood glucose levels and insulin levels drop significantly, which signals cells to conserve energy by breaking down and recycling all their damaged components to create fuel and building blocks. There are a bunch of other ways in which fasting has a positive effect on neuroplasticity. There's plenty of research that is out there done on these topics. There is not much research that has been done on the topic of intermittent fasting being used as a treatment for overcoming porn addiction, because let's be honest, such a study is kind of hard to conduct. So this section of the video is going to be based purely on my individual experiences of having worked with dozens of people suffering from porn addiction. I have observed that a certain window of fasting, especially when that fast is done regularly throughout the week, can help significantly reduce cravings for porn. A lot of the time people relapse because they are hit with the urges. The urges then chip away at their willpower and they end up relapsing. But what if you could stop the urges from ever occurring, or at least significantly reduce them? Think about how easy it would then be to overcome porn addiction if you never had urges for porn. And that is exactly what fasting does, and hence why fasting is such a powerful tool to have in your toolkit. However, as great as fasting sounds, it can actually have the opposite effect if done incorrectly. For example, if you start fasting in an unprepared fashion, you haven't really thought about what you are going to be eating before your fast begins, you haven't thought about how long your fast is going to be, and you haven't decided what healthy food are you going to be eating to break your fast. And as a result of this, you end up binge eating fast processed food because you were just so hungry at the end of the fast. This is actually going to cause you to crave porn even more. So I would highly recommend that if you are going to use fasting as a potential way to overcome your porn addiction, you do so after you have made adequate preparation and research on intermittent fasting. The duration of a fast entirely depends on the individual that is undergoing the fast. Some people usually have a higher body fat percentage and they respond better to longer fasts, whereas those who have a lower body fat percentage might do better with stringing together shorter fasts. Apart from body fat percentage, your blood glucose levels also play a role when deciding a fasting window. I would recommend that a good starting point for intermittent fasting for healthy individuals is somewhere between 14 to 18 hours. Start with somewhere within this range. Experiment a bit by slightly increasing or decreasing the duration of your fast, and eventually figure out what duration works the best for you and just stick to it. The first week or two of fasting might be a bit rough, simply because your body is not used to fasting. However, once your body gets adapted to fasting, which is basically your ability to use your body fat as fuel, then it becomes almost effortless to fast. You do not feel hungry or uncomfortable. Here's a bit of a caution. If you're pregnant, diabetic, or suffering from hyperglycemia, which is low blood sugar levels, then fasting is probably not for you. If you fall into any of these categories or have any other underlying health conditions, please make sure that you consult with your physician before attempting to fast. Hey, my name is Jibreal Khan, and I've helped dozens of men overcome porn addiction using tried and tested systems based on neuroscience and behavioral psychology. The best part is that these systems do not rely on willpower, which is a fleeting resource and it is bound to fade away in the long run. Some of the people that I work with have been addicted to pornography for as long as 20 years and could barely go a week without porn. So if you would like to work one-on-one with me to overcome porn addiction, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a call with me. This call can be completely anonymous if you prefer.